Hey, what's up you guys, Darson here back in with another video review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends series No Way Home, but it's labeled as the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield action figure. Taking a look at the back chain over here, it's pretty much the exact same thing that we've seen with the Marvel Legends Tom Holland Spider-Man figure that we previously looked at last week. Be sure to check that out. It is in a retro card, which, as I've already said, I'm not the biggest fan of, especially when it comes to movie figures. But nonetheless, we have it here. It has that same design that has like the gold highlights that the No Way Home brand sort of carries. But oddly enough, this one's named under the Amazing Spider-Man 2. It even has the picture from the original film. You can see a little bit of electricity coming out from over there from Electro. And yeah, a lot of people were questioning this, and they were kind of confused as to why Andrew Garfield was part of the No Way Home wave, but was labeled as Amazing Spider-Man 2. The answer is everyone, well, okay, I don't know it for sure, but most likely it's just because of the likeness rights, and this figure does come with a Andrew Garfield head sculpt. And so, and they had to market it under the Amazing Spider-Man 2. They couldn't have done it under No Way Home, although it's very clearly the No Way Home action figure. You got Marvel Legends Amazing Spider-Man over there, and as I said in the last one, if you want to open up these boxes over here, the best way to do it, at least that I found, was you take like a ruler or like a hard piece of plastic and slide it under this little piece over here, and then you just want to cut up. Of course, at the back over here, you get all the warnings at the bottom over there. At the top over here, you do have some information about the Amazing Spider-Man, and you can see it does come with that description. I think this is the same thing that they used for the original Amazing Spider-Man 2 marketing material, but you can tell very clearly that that's a poster from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then, Marvel Legends series at the top of there. So yeah, pretty cool looking. I wish we did get the original Marvel Legends packaging instead of the retro card, but nonetheless, cool packaging over here. Taking a look at the figure over here, this is Andrew Garfield as he appeared as Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man or No Way Home. He wore the same costume for both. And yeah, this is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 costume. And I know many people argue that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 costume is the best of the bunch. And as much as I would like to agree with that, it's just all the Spider-Man costumes really, at least that appeared in No Way Home, really have a contending spot. And when it comes to this figure in here, I've always seen the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit as somewhat of a combination between the Raimi Spider-Man costume and a comic book approach to it. Because, you got the bigger lenses over there. He's got the big Spider-Man symbol, and overall, like, just the way how Andrew Garfield's built just looks like Spider-Man as if he were to be represented in live action. So as much as I agree with that it was translated very well, I am still a bigger fan of the No Way Home final swingsuit Spider-Man, just because it has more of a comic book approach. But this is still fantastic. Anyway, though, looking at the accessories over here, he does come with an extra head, which is unmasked, and that is the Andrew Garfield look. And yeah, it turned out pretty great. I'm actually a big fan of this, and it does look like Andrew Garfield. Nothing much else to say about it. He also does come with these thwipping hands as well, and that's one of the more disappointing parts of this Spider-Man in particular. The No Way Home final suit came with 3 separate pairs of hands. This one only comes with 2. He also does have a fisted hand over here, as well as an open hand on the other side. So pretty weird combination, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. As for the figure over here, I'm a big fan on how it turned out. As I've already said, although the Amazing Spider-Man 2 costume isn't my favorite, it is still a great contender in comparison to other live-action Spider-Man costumes. His lenses over here do look very, very, very nice. This is especially done well in comparison to previous figures that they've done from the Amazing Spider-Man movie line. As, the figure entails, or at least the suit entails, the lenses are massive on this guy, and they look great. They got a nice, shiny white paint like the Spider-Man final swingsuit costume had. And then, the web lines also go all throughout this costume. It's got a bit of a darker red on this one. I think I would have liked to see a bit of a brighter red, but I do think it gives it more of a movie sort of cinematic sort of feel. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. And also the suit has this sort of like dark red, but it has this like marble effect on it, like that just makes it shine a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it looks really nice. So I'm a really big fan of that too. And it's got a bit of a texture difference in the suits, as you can see from the blue highlights to the red highlights, which looks great. And then the webbing all along looks really nice. Unlike the No Way Home final swingsuit, this one actually turned out really well in terms of the webbing. I'm not seeing as many discrepancies in comparison to that figure, so I'm really happy about that. And of course, in the hands over here, you can actually see he does have his what do you call them, the web shooters on this figure, because we do know that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man has web shooters. I don't know if they included that in the original one. I don't remember in the final swingsuit, but at least they have it here, which looks really nice. And then, of course, the legs over here, really nice texturing. I really like that. And then going on to the boots look great as well too. They have that same texture that the rest of the red in the suit has, and the same webbing, which looks absolutely great. I'm really happy as to how this figure turned out over here. And then, of course, it has the pegels at the bottom of the feet. As for articulation in this figure over here, the head is on a separate ball joint, just like the No Way Home final swingsuit. I don't know why I keep saying, I could just say final swingsuit, but whatever. Okay, head goes up about that much. It can go down. It moves side to side. There's a bit of pivot in there as well too. There are the butterfly joints as well in this figure, and it goes up like that. It can go around, it can go down, and then it's hinges back and forth with a butterfly joint. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which move in about that far. And then you do have the, oh my goodness, you do have the wrist articulation, which is a swivel and a hinge. You do have the diaphragm joint over here as well too, which allows you to get some extra movement. And then also there is a crunch near the hips over here, which gives you even more movement, so you can get them going all the way down and then all the way back with a few clicks. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. I'm liking what I'm seeing over here. He can kick up like that. He can kick back on an angle. He can do the splits. One thing I'd like to note about this figure in particular in comparison to the final swingsuit is that this guy, oh, actually, no, he does have drop-down hips. So see, initially I thought that he didn't, but this figure also does have drop-down hips. You can't just like pull it out though. It kind of just comes out on its own, if you can see right there. But that's pretty nice. I'm glad to see that, and it looks pretty good. And then also he does have the thigh swivel, excuse me, that the final swingsuit did have as well too, so he can swivel that. He has double jointed knees, which move in about there, and then he does have the ankle articulation, which is down, up, like that, and then a pivot, which is great. One thing I'd like to mention that was also part of the final swingsuit was the joints on this guy. The peg holes that you see in the elbows and in the knees are non-existent on this figure as well too. So it really adds to the sort of quality of this figure and just the overall design, action figure wise, it looks great. I think it compares to an import figure in my opinion. As for comparison here with the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spider-Man, here he is next to the original Amazing Spider-Man Marvel Legends Spider-Man figure. Yeah, there's a massive difference between these two figures over here. You can just see like, like, I don't know how we even like, there was a day where we actually thought that this was the best Spider-Man figure, or at least most people did. I remember when it initially came out, and a lot of people were a huge fan of this figure, but just looking at the difference like between then to now, we have come a very long way in terms of action figures and their sculpting and that, because this just looks so much better than this one. I don't know. If you disagree with me, then I think you need to get your eyes checked, but like, yeah, we've come a long way. We've come a very long way from those sort of figures over there. But yeah, so that was the Amazing Spider-Man figure that came out with the movie from the Marvel Legends line. And then, of course, we do have the final swingsuit Spider-Man, which I have previously reviewed. If you'd like to know how he stands up against your other Marvel Legends figures at home, or figures from other lines, here he stands at just about 6 inches tall. Yeah, he's right on the 6-inch mark. So there you go. So final thoughts on this Andrew Garfield Spider-Man over here. Let me just give you a spoiler and say this is the best figure of the 3 Spider-Men. Hands down. Like the sculpting on this figure is absolutely the best of the 3. It really does show off the proper musculature and proportions that Spider-Man really should have in a live action sort of look. It follows on what Andrew Garfield also looks like very well. The head sculpt for Andrew Garfield is great. The hand accessories thing, it's not a big deal. Like, I feel like for these figures, if we were going to get them initially, we would have gotten these hand accessories as well too. And it's not like they just gave us whipping hands like they did on a lot of the Tom Holland figures. They at least gave us a set of a variety of hands. So it's not, to me, it's not the biggest deal. Yes, these figures are starting to get more and more expensive, but you know, the accessories are only going to go so far. It's not a big deal to me. You can have your own opinion on that. I'm completely neutral in that conversation. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, sculpting wise, great on this figure. The painting is pretty good. I really think that this figure in particular, as compared to the rest of the No Way Home wave, really does, you know, stack up against other import, like, expensive figures, which is great. And especially for this being a $24 to $34 figure. If you're in US, 24, if you're in Canada, 34. Yeah, I think it's a great pickup. And yeah, like I said, with the packaging too, it should be at least for me, I like the initial Marvel Legends packaging. I don't want these movie figures to have retro cards. I don't think that's what they were made for. Although the retro cards are great, but you know, do with that as you please. Like, if you like the figure in itself, it's a pickup. And I find it awesome that we finally got these figures. It's been 2 years now in the making. So I'm very happy to finally see Andrew Garfield in Marvel Legends form, in a good Marvel Legends form, because the original one was not all that great, and this one turned out really well. But yeah, it's a pickup in my book. And one thing I also want to mention too is, fooling around with this figure, I've noticed a big difference quality wise, at least for me, for this figure here. The actual plastic it feels like they used is actually, it feels a lot better than the final Swingsuit Spider-Man. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know if it was maybe just that final Swingsuit Spider-Man initially was not of great quality. This one still, I would also say the same thing I said in that video, for these figures in particular, still, you know, heat up the joints, because yeah, it's still pretty stiff, especially when it comes to these sort of figures. And the amount of articulation that they now have in them, especially, you want to be careful in that hip area, and then you know, diaphragm joint in the arms. Those are the three main. Oh, and then also the head too, because the head is also a joint where it's kind of like separate from the rest of the body. It's very intricate, and the type of plastic they use causes the opportunity for them to break. So it's very important to make sure that you warm up the joints as much as you can, so then you can avoid that breakage. That's it, guys. I want you guys to let me know in the comments down below who your favorite Spider-Man is and what your favorite Spider-Man suit is. For me, it was the final Swingsuit Spider-Man, but this is also a great looking Spider-Man costume as well. And as every YouTuber begs you to do, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.